Hello, everybody. Welcome to GM Sports Report, your weekly podcast on all things sports where every play counts. I'm Grant, and I'm here with my co host Mason as we get ready to cover the latest news, headlines, and upcoming events going on in the sports world. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to see all things GM Sports Report. Mason, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good today, Grant. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. We have a lot to get into. Obviously, the Super Bowl is this week, and then over at the NBA, we have the trade deadline coming up in a few days. So, a lot to get into, and we'll go ahead and get started and start out with our hot take of the week. So, what is your hot take for this week?
My hot take is that Kawhi Leonard was snubbed from the All-Star selections. He's been averaging 27.6 points per game, so almost 28, and then 6 rebounds per game, 49.7 from the field, and then 40% from three. So, what he's been doing this season, sure, it's been on the Clippers, and they have not been having a great year, but I think that he has been snubbed, and he should be in over guys like Chet, and then even Booker as well. So I think Kawhi was snubbed.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you. I think Kawhi Leonard has been absolutely dominant this year. Definitely think he should have made it in over Chet. I guess the argument you can make with Chet is he's on the best team in basketball, but then you look at a guy like Devin Booker who's in a similar situation with the Suns. And also, if you can throw the whole Kawhi, he's been a little bit injured during the season. He hasn't missed that many games, honestly, but Devin Booker's missed a
Mm-hmm.
good amount of games as well. So you can kind of back that argument up with that one as well. I definitely think Kawhi should have made it in over one of those two guys. So I agree with you there. For
Yeah.
my hot take of the week, I think that this is going to be one of the most boring NBA trade deadlines ever. Everyone thinks these blockbuster trades are happening, like Giannis is getting traded. Obviously, we saw some James Harden news break that we're going to get into, and everyone, John Morant, like all these names are getting thrown around, but I really just don't see a lot of these moves happening. I said last week before the Giannis stuff was like really starting to break. I said that I didn't think he'd get traded at deadline, and since then, Giannis has like reportedly asked for a trade. I still don't think it's going to happen before the deadline. I just think if you're the Bucks, you know you're going to get better offers in the summertime. Just shut Giannis down for the rest of the year and get a better offer in the summer. Um, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think anything big is going to happen like everyone else thinks. Everyone's like, oh, this is going to be the craziest trade deadline. I just don't see it happening. So that's my hot take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
All right. Next thing we'll do is go ahead and get into our underdog of the week. So, Mason, who is your underdog for this week?
My underdog of the week is Keontae George. He has been really stepping it up from the last two seasons with the Jazz. He's averaging 24 points per game, 7 assists per game, and 4 rebounds per game. Like I said, Jazz are really not good, but he's averaging 8 points per game more than he was last year. So it's really cool to see a young player like him kind of at least give somewhat of a direction for the Jazz fans. But yeah, I just like Keontae George, so shout out to under for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's been a great player this year. I'm a big fan of his. So I like that pick. For my underdog of the week, I was just kind of looking through the scores of the NBA last night and was kind of looking at the box scores. And I saw this guy that I have never really heard of before on the 76ers. His name is Dominic Barlow. And last night in their win, he got 26 points and 16 rebounds. I've never heard of
Holy
this guy
crap!
before, but he had quite a game. So maybe I'm just a casual and I don't know ball, but I definitely don't think I've heard of this guy before. And he had a crazy game. I mean, 26 points and 16 rebounds. That's just phenomenal. So shout out to him. That's my underdog of the week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. We're going to go ahead and get into the NFL and kind of do a Super Bowl special. We're just going to go over some different talking points and discussions. And we're going to start off hot. Which QB storyline is better between the two? Drake May's breakout season or Sam Darnold's comeback story?
For me, it's without a doubt Sam Darnold's comeback story. We've seen second-year quarterbacks make the leap in the same way that Drake May has in this Patriots team. Maybe to not this extreme of an extent, which I do give big credit for the Patriots and Drake May, but Darnold. he played 3 bad years with the Jets, getting drafted with them, and then 2 with the Panthers. Didn't do very good there either. Backed up with the Niners. Got another opportunity in his 7th year to become a starting quarterback with the Minnesota Vikings, and was one of the best quarterbacks in the league last year. Goes to the Seahawks with many questioning if it was a fluke season. And he just had one of the most impressive years again from a guy in his position, completely changing teams, whole new coaching staff, all different players, and for him to be able to do what he has with the resume he's had, I think it's just a very good feel good story, and I'd love to see him get the ring on top of it all.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Like you said, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks break out in their second year. So it's very impressive what Drake May's done, and he's gonna be a problem for a long time.
Right,
He's
right.
probably gonna win MVP this season. Um, so I think that storyline is great and all, but what Sam Darnold has done is something we just don't see as often, like you were saying. Um, Going into last year, before he started with the Vikings, like when the Vikings first picked him up, no one took it seriously. Like no one thought that this guy would
Hmm.
actually be like a quality quarterback. And he had a great year with Minnesota, kind of choked a little in the playoffs.
Right.
But now he's bounced back and brought a team to the Super Bowl, and I just think that's very commendable and something you don't see often, because this guy was really on his like last life in the NFL, and is now playing for a Super Bowl championship, playing for Seattle's first championship in over a decade. So I think that storyline just holds a little more weight than the Drake May storyline.
Without a doubt.
All right. Next topic, we'll get into more of the gameplay side of things.
Yeah.
What does each team need to do to be able to win this game?
Yeah, so I'm sorry if I get a little too in depth here, but I think Seattle really needs to establish the ground game early with Kenneth Walker. He has been one of the most impressive backs of the season, followed through with the playoffs, really kept that team on his back. Get a good run game. You make the linebacker step up, try a few play actions if the heavy run works. And if the run game doesn't work, extend the run game kind of with screen and quick passes to JSN. I feel like a lot of those receivers on that Seattle team can be good run after catch, but I think that Shaheed and JSN are one of the best at making things happen with nothing in front of them. I think Cooper Cup is a great route runner, and that's kind of what he's been doing well this not the only the season, but in his career. So if you're able to get that working, I think that really kind of opens up the playbook a lot more. And I have the utmost trust in McDonald and Clint Kubiak. They've had an amazing season in play calling and just decision making. So I'm really excited to see what Seattle can do on the offensive side. But Seattle has one of the best defenses in the NFL as well. And not to mention, Patriots have one of the most underrated defenses in the NFL,
Mm.
especially that pass rush and run stuffing. So I think it's really kind of going to come down to what Seattle is able to get going. And on the Patriots side of the football, or for offensive side, I think it's really hard to kind of judge because it seems like they kind of just stick with whatever's kind of working, and there's no really big game plan on what they're going to rely on. They run the ball a couple times, and yeah, sure, if that works, they'll keep sticking with it. But I think they're really going to kind of attack the mid range of the field with like guys like Stephon Diggs, Mac Hollins, who's been playing well at his job, and then Booty's been playing good on the deeper routes. So it's really going to come down to kind of what's free for them. But Seattle, like I mentioned, has been able to shut down almost everything that they've seen. So I'm really excited to kind of see this matchup on both sides. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like it, especially what you're saying about Seattle. If they open up that run game, that opens up things for JSN to
Without a
really start
doubt.
going out and cooking. So I really like what you're saying there. I'll start with the Patriots. I think that overall Drake May just has to be better than what he's been so far in these
Right.
playoffs. What he's been doing isn't going to slide against a team that of the caliber that the Seattle Seahawks are. So he's just going to have to straight up play football better. Um, and then I think that their defense has to continue being one of the best defenses we've seen in the playoffs. They've had, a lot of success turning the ball over. Granted, you can make the argument that maybe that's the quarterback on the other team's fault, but they were causing turnovers nonetheless. So they're going to have to continue doing that. They really want a chance against this stacked Seattle team. And then as far as Seattle goes, I think they just need to keep doing a good job of playing that balanced game of football that they play, really solid on both sides of the ball. And I think if they continue doing that, they really shouldn't have a hard time winning this game in my eyes. I don't want to jinx anything, but
Right.
that's kind of just where I stand for both those teams.
Absolutely.
All right, next point we have is that which player for each team needs to have a big game outside of the star player. So someone that kind of has to be like an unsung hero that can really go a long way for their team.
For Seattle, I think it's going to be anyone that's playing the tight end position, whether it's Elijah Arroyo, AJ Barner. They really use their tight ends not only in the receiving asset of the game, but the blocking as well. Because you've seen how Kenneth Walker is able to make these impact plays on the ground, not only on the ground though, in the air as well. And you need to have a guy who can block and receive. So AJ Barner or Elijah Arroyo, I think they're going to be the key players to really look out for and just make it happen on offense. Because if you can't get those blocks, just that one guy in the secondary to get picked up, I think it could be rough for Seattle's rushing attempts. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens there. And then on the Patriots side, I think it's going to be Will Campbell. If he's having a good game, I think that they'll really be able to keep Drake May off the ground. There is a lot of other players who can get to May just off of the left side. So Will Campbell's been looking really rough in these playoffs and in the end of the year for the regular season. So if he can play well, I think that they'll do well. But yeah, that's those are kind of my two big impact players.
Gotcha. I like both of those picks. Um, for the Patriots, I kind of just went with Ramondre Stevenson. I think he's going to have a big
Mm-hmm.
game. So far in these playoffs, each game he's had been in like the 70-yard area, other than the Chargers game, but he did have 75 yards receiving in that game. So I think he's kind of their Swiss Army knife that they can use on offense. I mean, they really don't have the most like superstar caliber players on the offensive end
No,
outside of
no.
Drake May. So they kind of just need their guys to, step up. Like Booty needs to make some big receptions. Obviously, Diggs needs to do his job. And then you got Ramondre Stevenson and Trayvon Henderson as that backfield. They can, make some noise. So I kind of got Ramondre Stevenson as mine for the Patriots. And
Mm-hmm.
then Seattle, I'm going with a guy that's been in this situation before and has won a Super Bowl MVP, and that's Cooper Kupp. I
Mm-hmm.
think that he's a
Yeah.
guy that can really make some big plays for you, just timely receptions. If he can kind of just do what he did last week, where he had 4 receptions for 36 yards and a touchdown, I think that that's enough to help your team win
Yeah.
a Super Bowl. So we know he's more than capable of it. We obviously know he's not what he once was, but this is a guy that's been in this situation before, knows what he's doing, has won an MVP before and a Super Bowl before. So I'm going with Cooper Kupp for the Seattle Seahawks.
Another quick guy who I think could really make an impact on more of the special team side is Rashid Shaheed. If he can
Mm.
take that kick return or punt return and put the offense in good field position, I think that can really give that much of an edge to the Seattle's offense and just as a team in general.
Yeah, if you're the Seahawks and you win the coin flip, do you think they'll take the ball first just to try to get that big momentum play from Raheem Shaheed?
Um, I don't think that I think they could. I don't think that there's a wrong, I guess, pick for them just because of how balanced they are and their defense
Mm-hmm.
is, as we mentioned, been phenomenal. So if they want to do that, absolutely set the tone, get the momentum on your side. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame them if they choose to go defense first but the Patriots offense, I guess, in a bad
Yeah, I like
position.
it. Yeah, I agree. All right. Who do you think will win Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, so I kind of have a few for Seattle's. I think it's going to be Kenneth Walker or Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'd really like it to be Darnold just to kind of finish off the phenomenal, I guess, comeback that he's had coming for the past 2 years. So that's kind of my wants. But a sleeper, I think, could really impact the game, kind of like how we saw with Von Miller and the Broncos a couple years ago. was DeMarcus Lawrence. I think if he comes off the edge and really impacts and gets some turnovers, we saw him this season get 2 touchdowns in a game. If he can do
Mhm.
something, crazy, just get some turnovers, get that Seattle offense the ball back, I think he could win it as well. And then for the New England side, like you mentioned earlier, there's not too many crazy star players just on that team in general. I could see them just going May with however, how bad of a game that he may have, I think he'll get it regardless. Just for the NFL legacy, trying to make him their poster boy. So I really think if the Patriots win, it'll be Drake May.
Yeah, I went kind of basic here, but I went Jackson Smith and Jigba for Seattle and Drake May for the Patriots, just because,
Yeah.
like you said, for the Patriots especially, I really don't like. I can't think of anyone when
Right.
they're successful. It's kind of like success by affiliation. It's not like one guy is just really like
Yeah. Yeah.
balling out. It's like everyone's kind of chipping in and doing their part, and then Drake May looks like the star of the show. So I think if the Patriots
Hmm.
do win, that he'll definitely win MVP. And I went JSN just because that dude's been incredible all year long. In my opinion,
Hmm.
he's the offensive player of the year.
Yep.
And I just think that if he has another big game like how he's been playing in these playoffs, I think that you got to give it to him. So that's kind of
Hmm.
where I stand with that.
It would be exciting a little too to see Cooper Cup kind of just ball out like he did in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl with the Rams and then win another
Yeah.
one. But yeah, I'm just excited.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. I mean, we've seen a lot of times where like the star player really isn't the deciding factor of
Hmm.
winning a Super Bowl. We see it time and time again. So it'll be interesting to see. All right. Finally, it's time to give our score predictions. What is your official score prediction for the Super Bowl?
I think it'll be 24-18 Seahawks. And honestly, if I'm being straight up, I think 18 could be a little generous for the Patriots, but um, it really comes to show, or it really decides on what Seattle defense shows up on Sunday. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna go 24-18 Seattle.
We were pretty close, actually. I am going Seattle winning 28-17. That is
Yeah.
my score prediction. I think that we're kind of in agreement there around the
Hmm.
same range. I also think 17 points might be a little generous if Seattle comes out and plays the defense that they've been playing. Um, but we'll see what happens. It's a Super Bowl; anything can happen. So it's one
Hmm.
game, one final game of the season. Both teams are going to be giving it their all. So um, it should be a fun one. I'm excited for it. It's nice to not see the Chiefs or
Yeah.
Eagles in it for once. Um, so I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right, now we're gonna go ahead and slide over to the NBA. As I was saying earlier, the trade deadline is coming up on Thursday, and we kind of have some talking points to talk about. Starting with the big one, Mason, do you think that Giannis is going to be traded?
As time's been going on, I really thought it was gonna happen last week. As far like in my mind, I thought that he was going to get traded before the deadline, but right now, I just don't see enough of a push from the Bucks front office or kind of any other team to really just kind of give everything. So I
Mhm.
think that it will be delayed, and no, he won't get traded.
Yeah, I think that the Bucks are backing out. I think that they don't have
Hmm.
the guts to be able to pull off a trade like this at the deadline. I mean, and you got to give them some slack because this is their franchise player for the last like almost a decade now. This guy's been
Hmm.
their franchise, so it is hard giving that up in a trade, and you want to feel like you're making the right deal. And I can see why it feels like you're rushed when the deadline is coming up, but I think they can fall back on because Giannis didn't technically demand a trade. They could kind of fall back on that and just be like, look, he didn't demand a trade. He just asked, like he said, he'd prefer a trade somewhere. So we're going to go ahead and go back to that in the offseason. And obviously, I think in the offseason, we're going to see a lot more teams being able to put together better packages. So I think the
Yep.
Bucks will be more inclined to do a trade in the offseason. I also don't see Giannis being traded at the deadline as much as I would love that because I feel like the Heat are in the best position to acquire him at the deadline. I think that if it goes back into the offseason, I really think that it's the Knicks to lose. if it gets pushed back there, or Timberwolves. To be fair, I think those will be the top
Let's
two
see.
teams come the offseason. But yeah, I don't think he's going to get traded at the deadline. Next topic we have just kind of broke last night, a little out of nowhere. It actually happened during the Clippers game last night, which was a little weird. James Harden and the Clippers are going to be working towards a trade. And there has been a rumor that he will be potentially going to Cleveland for a Darius Garland swap. Mason, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it'd be very interesting because it seemed like Cleveland really likes Darius Garland, but kind of in the playoffs last year, it's like, okay, we really needed this guy to really step up and be the player that he was in the regular season, and he just, whether the toe injury or whatever he had, just you could tell he wasn't there 100% mentally or physically. So I'm sure that kind of left a bad taste in some of the Cleveland fans or the management's mouth. So I think James Harden going to the Cavs would be very interesting. Get a veteran in there who has played very good basketball throughout his career. And I think it'd just be good for the team in general. I think I'd be scared of the age thing where Darius Garland has that high upside, and you've seen what James Harden has been doing lately, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but then again, he is kind of coming to an end in his career. So I think that would just kind of be the most negative part of that trade off.
Yeah, I get the worries about the whole age thing, but I really do think this is the
Hmm.
right call for Cleveland to go get a guy that they can just fully trust to help out Donovan Mitchell in a playoff game. Because I think that's the thing with the Cavs. When you go into the playoffs, you don't know if you can trust Evan Mobley. You don't know if you can trust Darius Garland. They're great young players that have shown high upside. But if you go out and get a guy like James Harden, that's a guy you know is going to go out there and compete with Donovan Mitchell. So I think that it would make a lot of sense. Now, it is a win now move for sure because you're giving up
Yeah.
that young piece in Darius Garland. But to me, over the last year and a half, Darius Garland has really turned into like a Tyler Hero where it's like he's shown high upside. He's been an all-star before, but he's made of class. He barely plays. When it comes playoff time, he might not show up half the time. So I think it makes sense for Cleveland to move on from Garland if it means they're going to go out and get James Harden. And obviously, we've been seeing the reports of how next season there's a chance LeBron James might sign a 1-year deal with Cleveland and finish off his career there. And if you get a lineup of James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron, Mobley, and Allen, that's a great team. So I think that this trade does make things interesting for Cleveland. And with how wide open the East is, it can make anything happen.
Hmm.
All right. And then last thing I wanted to do for the NBA, just kind of give out if you have a non-Giannis trade that you think is going to happen at the deadline. Just something it doesn't have to be like something you've seen in reports, just something you're feeling. I don't know. Just whatever you're thinking.
I think I think Luka Doncic gets traded to the New York Knicks for
Okay.
Deuce McBride,
All right.
straight up
All
player
right.
swap.
All right.
I don't know. I don't really have anything big. Like you said, it's been kind of dead even as far as rumors, I think it's just been dead. So for I think the an actual trade to get going, that would be somewhat big, would be kind of like a shocker, like that Luca trade that happened a year
Right.
ago.
Yeah, I think that like my safe prediction that like I think might actually happen. I could see John Morant getting moved at the deadline. Not really sure where yet, but I could see him getting
Mhm.
moved. And then kind of a hypothetical that I just kind of thought of that I thought would make things really interesting. Um, we know this team is willing to trade away some of their players, which is the Kings that I'm about to talk about. And there's a team in the East that I think could really make some noise if they acquire this player. And I have Domantas Sabonis going to the Toronto Raptors. I think that the
Mm.
Raptors get like a solid center to pair with Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram that, they could really start making some noise here. And I don't see why the Kings would really hold on to Sabonis for much longer it's not like they're going to win or anything with him. So I could see that happening. I've not really seen any reports on this whatsoever, other than I've seen the Raptors are looking to acquire a center. And obviously we know of how bad the Kings are. It's kind of just something I came up with on my own. I was like, hey, that would be interesting to see happen. So yeah, if that happens, I'm gonna become the next Shams.
Okay. Yeah, no, that'd be interesting because Toronto has been like a sneaky good team throughout
Hmm.
this season. So if they do get that, solid big, I think it would be very interesting.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like it's a realistic trade. Like throw in RJ Barrett and a
Hmm.
first round pick. Like I feel like that gets the job done.
Yep.
All right. And then finally we're gonna head over to UFC because we had Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez 2 happen this last week. Mason, what were your thoughts on the fight?
It was sad. I think it was bittersweet, I should say. I really like both of them. I really wanted to see it get split and then have a three, but obviously we did not get that. I felt like they both fought very conservative. Um, call me crazy or don't know ball or whatever. I felt like Volk obviously got comfortable later on or quicker than Lopez did. But even when Lopez did, I guess, get comfortable, it turned it on. It still wasn't enough to even put close of a win together because obviously at the end he wasn't able to get anything going. Um, so yeah, I mean it wasn't a great card. I think it was definitely a forgettable night, but yeah. So we'll see what happens for both of these fighters.
Yeah, I was very happy to see Volk win for
Yeah.
second time. Kind of really keep adding to his legacy. After that Taporia knockout, none of us really knew what was next for Volk. And to see him, get the championship belt back and defend it now, it's kind of just good for his legacy. Lopez is going to be around. He's going to have lots of title chances, and I think he will be a champion one day.
Hopefully.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as the conservativeness goes, it definitely was like not the most exciting fight, and I think we see that happen
No.
a lot of times in the second fight between two fighters, just because they're both trying to make
They need to hold
changes.
on to it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're both trying to make changes, but they're also trying to see what the other person changes, so it can cause like a stall in the offensive side of fight. And so I do think that it was very not boring, just like average. It
Right.
was a very average fight.
Yeah.
The card alone was terrible. Like that was a terrible card. There was a couple good moments, but for the most part, wasn't the biggest fan of the card. But I was happy to see Volk win. I'm a big Volk guy. It's one of my day
Mhm.
ones. When I started watching UFC, he became one of my favorites instantly, and I'm always gonna root for Volk when he's in the ring. So yeah,
Yep. Same.
really, because I believe you were cheering for Diego Lopez, if I remember
Yeah, but I'm
correctly.
still cheering for Volk. It's just
I
hard
can't
to
see
do
that.
both. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Okay,
we'll see what happens.
all right. Well, that's gonna pretty much
Now we
wrap
gotta
up
wait
this
till
episode.
March.
What
Yeah.
did you say?
I said now we gotta wait till March for another
Oh
UFC
yeah,
thing.
non UFC card till March. That's
Yeah.
crazy. All right. Well, that's pretty much going to wrap up this episode. So thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode of GM Sports Report, where every play counts. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to be able to see our weekly episodes on all things sports. For additional content, check the description to see links to our Instagram and TikTok account. This is Grant and Mason signing off for now. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you guys.